We are live on the Hero Academy. I have my brother Chappy, aka Chappy. Uh, Last name is Chapoteau, but everybody calls him Chappy. And I had to have you come on just to I don't expect this episode to be clean because he likes to curse a lot.
I
But
will try my best. I will
eh,
try my best.
it's all good.
Okay.
How many years did you have all total? I know you're retired now.
I did 20 years.
20 and
Yeah.
out. You actually did
Yes.
20 and out.
Yeah. I kept telling everybody. No one believed me. I was like, I'm going to do 20 and out. And
I
everyone
always
was
thought
like,
that I would too. I always thought
yeah,
that I would.
yeah. They were like, come on, you're going to be here. That's what they all say, this, that, and the other thing. And then 19 and change, I started like taking more and more days off. I started creeping out the door. And then I left. I didn't have a walkout ceremony or any of those things. I
I don't
didn't.
think I would. I don't think that I would.
Yeah.
I may have a little get together just to say goodbye to people. At like I'm not a big drinker, so like it'll
Yeah,
be like
exactly.
at a bar. But I might leave. I might do the Irish goodbye.
Yeah, I was like, because I didn't know who was truly happy and who was like a little sore about it, whatever. And I just didn't want to risk it in getting into like a beef
Well,
right before I'm supposed to leave.
I'm jealous.
I just well, I had to leave the state though because I couldn't afford. You know, it's like if you leave in 20, okay, fine, but you got to be willing to move and move far
I
because
thought you were going to say you had to leave the state because the job was forcing you out of New York State or something.
no, no, not well. I can see where you can get that because there were certain times where I was like, "Oh," I was talking to the Lord in the car, like, "Please let this work out, okay?" Because yeah, but no, I went as far south as you can get and still be, I guess, still in America because I'm in Texas. So
Texas.
yeah, yeah,
I love
no,
hey,
but
look, listen, all kidding aside, I love Texas. I really do. I love Texas. And top three states to retire to for me is Arizona, Texas, and Florida.
I gotta say, Texas surprised me. I knew it was gonna be okay, but it really surprised me.
You loving it?
I I love the way people aren't afraid to just be friendly and talk to people. My I used to
Because
get
everybody's
lost.
carrying a gun. That's why.
It makes people so polite. It's like after you, sir. No, no, sir. After you. Can I carry those bags for you? Only if you want me to. I mean, everyone is very much on their best behavior because they know this thing could turn into the wild bunch like that. So you know what? I don't want to be that guy. But really, people, every time I go to the local supermarket, they call it HEB down here,
Yeah.
and they lose me for hours because I'm just in there and I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm good. How you doing?" So I'm all right. How's your day going? For? Well, my grandchildren are in town, and I'm just lost in conversation. And then I come home and my daughter's like, "Dad, where'd you go?" I went to the store. That was 3 hours ago. Who'd you talk to? A bunch of people. I'm like a kid.
I
And
gotta say, shout out to HEB because it is the nicest grocery store that I've ever been in. Um,
right?
in New York, I guess the equivalent would be a Whole Foods, but it doesn't cost your whole paycheck to shop there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm picking stuff up. I'm like, this whole thing's $2. Like if I pay $2, I can walk out with it. No one's gonna chase me. This is $2. The first time I came down here, they thought I had Tourette's because every time I picked something up and I saw how cheap it was compared to what we were paying, I'm like cursing under my breath. So people remember this old lady came up to me and say, son, are you okay? I was like, yeah, all right. I'm just it's the sticker shock and
Well, you came from the five boroughs. You came from New
yeah,
York City, so
yeah.
prices are just ridiculous. I couldn't believe that you decided to live in the city and still work. Like you were commuting
I was
from
doing the opposite commute. Like
yeah,
most people would live deeper in Long Island
right.
and then commute to the precinct. I was living in Brooklyn and commuting all the way to Long Island. And the ride home was the worst because we were doing the midnights.
Yeah.
So in the mornings, the ride home, I'm going with a whole bunch of traffic because everybody's got to get to work, those that worked in Manhattan. So the ride home was an hour and a half if I was lucky.
How did you battle that sleepy feeling? Because when the sun starts hitting at 7:30 morning and you're in rush hour traffic, stop and go, oh, that was the worst for me.
There were a lot of times sometimes when you're driving on the Belt Parkway and underneath an overpass, you'll see a car pulled over to the side and
Yes.
you're wondering that was me. I would
Yes.
have to pull over because I was so exhausted and I would take a nap. And there were times I woke up at like 10 o'clock or I'd wake up because my phone is ringing because my wife is calling me like, where are you? And like, I had to pull over for a bit because we had a deal that if I felt sleepy or the road was looking kind of fuzzy, pull over, just take a nap. It's fine. It's okay. And she was really good like that. She understood. She was like, I'm glad you pulled over. You know, don't worry about it. Just get home when you can. But there were some rough mornings, man, especially if the president was in town to
Uh-huh.
talk. Oh,
Uh-huh.
oh. If you're on and you decide to take the LIE that time, and you're on the LIE and everything is frozen, and you're like, oh, and you hear on the radio, president is due to speak today at the UN. Damn it! Come on.
What did you usually take, LAE or Southern State?
I would have taken. It all depends on the day, weekend, weekday, what time I was getting out. If I had to do overtime, if I got out a little early, sometimes I would take the Southern State to the Belt Parkway, or sometimes I would take the LIE to the BQE.
You
But
did your
taking the
whole. Go ahead. Go ahead.
taking the LIE to the BQE, there were certain times you'd have to you had to know where to hop off the LIE, travel along side next to it, then
Right.
hop back on. It was like off, on, off, on, off, on. Then once you got to the BQE, since I was going against traffic, once you got onto the BQE, you were okay. But it was just getting there, getting close to the BQE was a nightmare. The Southern State, it was all windy, which was fine unless somebody who didn't know what they were doing got to an accident. Then it's a wrap. I
You
hope you
never
brought a
considered
sandwich.
moving. You never considered moving closer to work or moving further east?
Once we once we bought the apartment, because we had to buy our apartment because our apartment building started to go co-op. So
Right.
we bought the apartment. But once we bought the apartment, we were kind of locked in at that point
Right. Right. Right.
because everything was going towards that as the mortgage and everything. And none of the houses that we saw in Long Island, we would have to have traveled all the way out to like the very end
Okay.
to find a house that we could afford. And I drove my wife out there once, and she grew up in Iowa, and she was like, "This reminds me of the town where I grew up in." And she was like, "There's no way in hell you're gonna get me out here."
What kind of work did she? What kind of work did she do?
She was a triathlete. She was a professional triathlete. So
Really?
yeah, she did the swim, bike, run, going nuts, doing all that. She did things where if they had that in the academy, I would have been a postman. There was no way I was doing any of that. Opposites do attract because she was all into sport and fitness, and she was one of those people, the woohooers in
Yeah.
the gym, those
Yeah.
people that work out and go woohoo.
Woo!
I was never a woohooer, never. I always wanted to throw something at the woohoo. Shut up! I was struggling over here, but she was a woohooer, and she loved that gym, sport, all of that. It was crazy, but she was not down to move so far away, all the way
Yeah.
down to Long Island. And I tried to sell it. I was like, "Hey, isn't this great? My commute will be 20 minutes. Isn't this great?" And she was like, "Yeah, no." I lost that one. I'm big enough to say I lost that one.
All right. All right. Now, what was your best memory from the job?
Uh,
Like your most fun memory?
Most fun memory? Gosh,
Or any funny story that you remember?
funny story I have. Funny story I have. So I'm working. It's January of 2004, and I'm in a car, and I got on in 2002. So
Uh-huh.
I'm
So
still
you got two
relative.
years, 2 years on the job.
I got 2 years on the job, so I want to get involved in everything. So I'm patrolling. I want to get into it, man. I want to get involved.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey,
you rode with me on on overtime a couple times. I got you involved in some things.
yeah, yeah, and I liked it. I was like, yes, it's like, yeah. And there were a couple of times I didn't want you to feel like I was stalking you or nothing, but there were times when I would call up and be like, "Is David working? Does he need a partner?" Because I wanted to get into it because I didn't like that whole staying it still stuff. So a call comes over of a violent domestic, and it's all the way down south, and one of the officers there was like, keep them coming, gonna need some help. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
Doing
So
Mach 80, Mach
I'm
100.
I'm driving on Montauk Highway. I got the lights and sirens now. It was snowy and icy, rainy, but they did a great job in plowing and taking care of Montauk Highway. But only Montauk Highway. I didn't know that. So I'm on Montauk Highway, and then I make a left, and I'm on one of the side streets going down because it's further down south. So I make that left, and the moment I make the left, I'm on black ice. And I'm like, okay, this is no good. No good at all. And I'm behind a car, but I'm quickly catching up to these taillights. And I'm like, this is bad. I'm going to rear end this car. I know the PD that is not going to respond, but I turned the wheel anyway, like a Hail Mary. I'm like, well, I could at least testify that I turned the wheel, but it didn't respond. I turned the wheel, and to my shock and amazement, answer to my prayers, the car moves over. And I just glide right past the car that I thought it was going to hit. I'm in the car. I'm like, woohoo, all right. I didn't hit him. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, woohoo. So I turned the wheel trying to go back. And as I turn the wheel trying to go back, the back end of the car goes first. So now I'm going down the street literally sideways.
Uh-huh.
I'm sideways, and I'm doing all that stuff that they teach us in Ewok, chop the wheel and do this and do that. None of that, man. None of it's working. It's just I'm doing all this stuff and none of it's working. But then I noticed, because this street just happens to be right next to a canal where people park their boats and everything. And I noticed that the car is now starting to drift sideways. It's still sideways, but now it's veering off to the side of the canal. And I'm like, I'm going to go in a canal. I'm going to go in the water. Dear Lord, no. Like, I am talking to the Lord in the car in tongues. I'm that scared because I can't swim at all. In perfect conditions, I can't swim. My nickname in the academy was Cinderblock. I
Oh
cannot
my
swim. I
God.
go
And it's
directly
winter.
to the bottom.
And it's winter.
And it's winter. There are chunks of ice floating in the. I know that's not good. So I'm headed towards the pylons, and I'm like, please, Lord, let the pylons do their job. I hit one pylon, it just knocks the car straight. So now I'm facing the canal instead of going in sideways. I'm going in face first. It snaps the first pylon out of the way. I hit the second pylon. My car goes over it and goes all the way over it, and it hooked onto my back bumper.
Thank God it did, huh?
I didn't know that until late, but that's what kept the car from being fully submerged.
Uh-huh.
So that pylon was the Lord answering my prayer, because I'm now in the car, but the cab of the vehicle is still underwater. Water starts rushing in. It hits my legs. I immediately get that pins and needle feeling. So I'm like, wow, this is no good. So I try to lower the side my window, because everything's electrical in the car. So I'm like, lower it before the electrical goes out. Lower it, lower it. And I get it down this much, and the electrical snaps. You just hear a pop. And
about 6 inches, you get it down.
yeah, all of the electrical goes out.
Uh-huh.
Except now there's enough for the water to come rushing in, but not enough for me to get out.
Uh-huh.
So I close the computer that we had in the car, and I unhook, and I actually sit on the computer, and I kick out the rest of the window. So now the water is rushing in. I somehow push my body out as the water's rushing in. I'm like, force myself out of the window. But now I got a whole new set of problems, because I'm holding on to the car, and I'm hoping that if the car does touch the bottom in some way, shape, or form, I can stand on the back of it and still get air, because I can't swim. There were two guys in the car that I passed, and they saw that my car went in the water. They pulled over, got out, stripped down,
Guardian angels.
and they're hanging off the pier going, give me your hand, give me your hand. My biggest regret is I never got their names, and none of the responding officers later got their names. Because, man, I owe them a steak dinner for the rest of their lives. But I did want to say thank you in some way, but nobody got their names. These guys helped pull me out because I'm now waterlogged, because we're wearing an extra 20 pounds of gear just on a normal every day.
Yep.
And now I'm waterlogged. I can't there was no way I was going to get myself onto the pier. So 3 of us are pulling. I get on the pier. I just stand up and I'm like, wow, what happened? And every pocket is like cascading water out. I look like a fountain. I got water coming out of every part of me. I'm looking at the car that's just hanging out of the back end is hanging out of the water. And I'm pacing on the pier. And these guys are telling me, you need to get an ambulance or somebody to you because hypothermia is going to set in. You've got a couple of minutes. You got to do something. But I'm telling them, I can fix this.
I'm fine. I can fix it.
It's like, I can fix this. I don't have to, because I got 2 years on. I just massively screwed up. I'm like, but I can fix this. I don't want to tell anybody I can fix this. My legs are going numb, and I got nothing. My radio's waterlogged, radio's not working, nothing's working. So I had my cell phone in my chest pocket. So I took out my cell phone and I call up Rob Libertelli, who's working the desk. And I go, hey Rob, this is Chappy. I put the car in the canal and I'm out, but yeah, the car's in the canal. And I'm gonna need rescue so I don't freeze to death. There's a pause. and this is where some of the cursing might come in. Because Rob is on the phone. There's a pause, and Rob goes, don't fuck around. The boss is right here. I'm about to send you an ambulance. You know, if this is a joke, it's not funny. And I'm like, this is no joke. I'm dead serious. I need someone. And he goes, okay. But he's got that tone like, it's your funeral. You're playing a joke. This is, the rookie's playing a joke. This isn't going to go good, but all right. And he puts it over the radio. So some of the guys here and 120, the guy working 120 car, hears this and he's like, let me show up. Let me see what he's doing, whatever. And I believe his name was Polvidente. And he drives up and they play the tape for me later because Polvidente is like, yeah, I'm showing up. And oh boy, he literally stops and goes, oh boy. And it goes, yep, the car's in the water. The operator's out, but yeah, the vehicle's in the water. Once again, a little bit of a pause. Then 101 going, 104 going, 118 going, 116 going. Everybody is coming. And I'm like, no, why? Everyone is rushing. I don't have any way to tell them, no, I'm fine, slow it down, whatever. Nope. The world shows up. Ambulance shows up. They're wrapping me in blankets. They put me in the back of the ambulance. I'm staring at the ground. I can't even look up and look at anybody in the face because I know how bad I messed up. And then everyone is just staring at the car that's in the water. And they're like, how did you get out? Are you okay? You all right? But as the ambulance doors are closing, I remember Keith Williams, he looks at me, he goes, hey, Chappy. And I look out the door and he goes,
he gives you a big thumbs up.
He gives me the big thumbs up like, hey. Boom, the door's closed. They take me to the hospital. The whole time I'm riding to the hospital, they're going, are you hurt? I'm like, no. It's like, you sure?
Just my ego.
My ego, my self-image was non-existent at that moment. It's like, oh, so I go, they bring me clothes. I get to the precinct. I'm able to get in my personal. I go home. Next day, I come in because I'm like, if I'm gonna get fired, I want to know now because I can at least spend what would have been my swing looking for a new job.
Right.
So I come in, And the guys are like, you okay? You all right? All right. It's good to know you're okay. So now
Let
that
the
we
roasting start.
yeah, now that we know you're okay. You're like, I'm called Scuba Steve. I'm called, they have the swim fins, the little swim
Floaties.
the
The
floaties.
floaties.
They floaties, they glued that to my car. They take everybody donated their that lifesaver that we had in the trunk,
Yeah.
piled it on top of my car like it came out,
Oh
and
my God.
they're like 15 of them on my car. I'm they're calling me, hey, what's up? First precinct has its first harbor unit, and I was like, oh, come on. They started calling me Chappaquiddick. It was
Chapoteau.
bad. It was bad. It was bad. So I'm sitting in the office, and of course the delegate comes with me, and Pat Saunders is sitting there with me, and they're going, okay, well, you gotta meet with the boss, of course. It's a new boss though that's gonna meet with you. It's Deputy Inspector Ryan. I'm like, okay, is he a good guy? Where's he? Well, we don't know. It's his first day here. I was like, oh, fantastic. Can't get any worse. And he came over from Internal Affairs. It just got worse. Okay, great. Fantastic. So I'm like ready because my shield isn't fully pinned to my shirt because I'm ready to just because I know I'm gonna slip it off, put it on the desk. I'm gonna cry for 45 minutes and then I'm gonna go outside. I don't want them to see me cry, but so he comes in the room and he says, "Okay, first things first. You coming back to work as quickly as you did showed me something. It was an accident. You weren't trying, and you're definitely not trying to milk the system, whatever. So that shows me something, and I appreciate that." And he goes, "Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm glad you're okay. We're gonna hold a vacation day in abeyance, and if you don't mess up, we'll give it back to you. But if you do mess up, we're gonna take the day from you. Now you could fight this if you want. I leap at the guy with a pet. Where do I sign? I sign the paperwork. I'm like, nice to meet you. I owe you a steak dinner, and I run. I left. I think I left Pat Saunders in the room. Like Pat is like, I'm supposed to come with you. I'm like,
Because
I'll meet you outside.
you went from thinking that you were gonna get fired to we're gonna hold a vacation day over your head.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are you kidding me? Because I thought at the very least they were going to make me pay for the car. And I
Right.
was like, I don't have that type of money, so my salary is going to get docked for the rest of my time here. So, and there goes my plan of 20 years and out. Yeah, more like 30 years and out because I got to pay for a car now. With all the bells and whistles, there's got to be a lot of money. So I ran out of there. So I was like, nope, almost like no takebacks. You can't change your mind. No backseat. Like somehow, if I made it out of that office, he couldn't like go, come back here. It's like, nope, I signed the paper. No take back seats. No, cootie shots. No, I ran out. And for the rest of my career, I was known as I would answer up if people called Scuba Steve, I turned around. Or they were
Oh,
like,
man.
Chappaquiddick, I turned around. Because I knew they were talking to me. And one of the guys told me, if we didn't like you, we wouldn't mess with you like this. So it was kind of like my introduction to everybody in the precinct. And that was good for morale because no matter what happened, if somebody screwed up, they go, at least I didn't pull a Chappy. So
You know what? Your only mistake was driving a little too fast in bad conditions, and you were brand new. When I was brand new, I was just returning to the precinct in uh kind of inclement weather where it was raining, and I hit that 109 bend
yes,
where I hit the clover leaf a little too fast, and I ended up sliding onto the grass. But that was the extent of my
you
of
could
my I was driving too fast. Okay, so that was the extent of it.
you can take that to the grave with you. It's
Right,
fine. You can take
right.
that to the grave. It's no big deal.
Putting a car in the
If
water, that's a
dude, when they took it out of the water, they had to hook a crane to it to
uh-huh.
pull it out of the water. It looked like a mackerel, like they caught it.
Uh-huh.
So of course there was a ton of pictures. Later on, Sergeant Rafferty, he goes for sergeant training, and he's in the room, and just to lighten and make everybody laugh, they pull that up and they go, "Hey, how would you like to be the boss that had to write this one up?" And they pull up the picture of the car on the thing, and Rafferty is just raising his hand and goes, "I had to write that up," and they go, "Are you kidding me?" And then it's like, tell me everything. What happened? It's like, well, I got a new guy. And it's like, oh, and he's a new guy. Oh, you kidding me? So a lot of people were very popular because of my screw up. A lot
Do
of
you
people were like,
have any advice for the newer guys handling getting roasted for something for something that they did?
look, some days you're gonna be the wolf, some days you're gonna be the rabbit. So you just if they didn't like you, they wouldn't be talking to you, they wouldn't be roasting you. And just you just gotta survive it. You just gotta take it. Because it's just balancing out all those great days you're gonna have when the perp thought he was gonna get away and didn't, or when you found something that nobody else found. It's all the balance. I had some awesome times when I wound up catching a bad guy, and I was all odds were against me catching him.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite arrest?
Uh,
Because working midnights, you just come across so many
yeah,
things.
my favorite uh yeah, I would say my favorite arrest was because this guy had robbed a 7-Eleven, and he literally disappeared. Like, he robbed the 7-Eleven, hit the door, made a left, and it just happened that it
Poof,
was
gone.
gone. I mean, died, gone. Nobody, we were not too far away. Like, 3 units were on him, and we couldn't find him at all. We're going up and down the streets. We're checking underneath the
K9,
cars.
K9.
K9's out. Can't find him. So I get the bright idea of just parking underneath. It was this tree, but it was so overgrown and almost looked like this giant bush. So I shoved the PD underneath there, and I shut off everything. Lower the window so I can hear, but I shut off everything. And I'm looking at everybody, and everyone's running around and stuff. And I'm sitting there going, oh, this is stupid. I should be out there. I should be doing stuff. I should be out there. And then a call comes over that this woman thinks, because her motion light went off in her backyard, that he might be in the backyard. So everybody, boom, takes off, goes that way. It's quiet for a few minutes. And then I hear something. And out of one of the bushes, this guy pops up. I swear to you, we were around that same bush like 50 times. This guy had the discipline not to move, breathe, sneeze, nothing. He just sat there with all of us around him and didn't move, and just waited until he saw everybody go, and he felt like the coast was clear, and he popped up, came out of the bush, and started walking. And he was so looking that way, he doesn't see me get out of the car, and literally just runs right into me. He's looking
great.
over his shoulder, and it's like, boom. He's like, oh, man.
You got me.
He's like, oh, man. He literally went, oh, man.
Oh, man, you got me.
Like, are you kidding me? Where'd you come from? I was like, yes. And I got him. It was one of the best. And I was not in any way, shape, or form. Like, some guys were just really good at tracking somebody down.
Yes.
Like K913
yes.
was like, anytime K913 was working that night, we knew that no one's getting away tonight, because that guy was dedicated, like you read about. Like, he would never give up. Like, 2 hours later, he's still tracking.
He'd still be out there. Yeah, yeah. I remember. I remember him.
And he'd find him, and it was like, "Are you serious?" And he'd find him. Like, someone who had natural skills at just putting things together and finding him. Mike Donald.
Yes.
115.
He was my partner. He was my partner in Cope for several years.
I had one of my only and best drug collars working with Mike Donald.
Yeah.
Because something about, he had the thick Irish brogue.
Yeah.
And
no, he was a freaking worker, man. That guy, like, he had the work ethic like no one I've ever worked, and I had a strong work ethic. Like no one I ever worked with.
He had a memory.
Yeah.
Like a memory like you wouldn't believe. Like, he caught a guy that he was knocking us dead over the midnights. He was robbing all the bagel stores.
Yeah.
And by the time we get there, of course, he's gone. He take the register, he's gone. One person remembers seeing an early model green car. I don't know how Mike Donlin remembers writing a guy up that had an early model green car freaking months ago. I don't
Yep.
remember what I had for breakfast.
Yep.
This Mike remembers. So he takes it upon himself that whenever he didn't have a call or he wasn't busy, he sat in front of this guy's house that had the early model car. Sat there for weeks. He just would sit there every time we were on. So then call comes over, bagel store just got hit. And what comes flying up is that green car in front of the place. Mike gets out of his car because he's parked in the dark and walks over, and there's a guy sitting in the car and he's got the cash register sitting shotgun. And he looks at the window and is like, he looks up and there's Mike. Mike brings him in, talks to him. Of course, everyone confesses to Father Flanagan because everybody that I don't know if it's the brogue or how he, but he would talk to people and they would confess everything. That's how I got Mike. I got the best drug collar of my life because Mike Donlin talked to the guy and the guy would just kept giving stuff
He
up.
was he was one of the very best cops that I ever worked with, and I did learn a lot working with him.
Yes.
And also I realized watching him work when we were in Cope together, I watched him work in towns that he wasn't familiar with. And I realized then that he could be a great cop anywhere. If you put him anywhere in the world, he could be a great cop. And that's the guy you want showing up to your house. If your house ever got burgled, you want that guy showing up.
Yeah. Because he's not only going to get the burglar, he's going to get the burglar to admit that he's pulled 17 other burglaries and write it down and sign it on paper. Just talking. Like, I'm in the same room. I'm talking to the guy. I was like, so whose drugs are these? He's like, I don't know. And then Mike would be like, oh, come on, tell the truth now. He's like, yeah, those are mine. And I got more in the car. And I was like, wait, what did he just say? It's like, yeah, I got more drugs in my car. Do you give us permission to go to your car? He's just standing there. And Mike goes, so what do you say we get the slate clean and I get the drugs out of your car? What do you say? Yeah, you're up there. And gives him the keys. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm not even there, man.
That's the truth. That is the truth. Shout out to Mike Donlin. Hey, I got about 4 more minutes. I want to turn the focus back on you. Are you actually working right now? Or are you just
no.
You don't, so you don't work at all?
No, I do art and illustration and stuff
Do you
like that.
sell do you sell your art?
Yes.
That's cool.
I have my own website, which is Jiian Chapoteau.com. It's JIIAN.
Send it to me, and I'll put it in the link description.
Absolutely. And also through Fine Art America, which is easy to remember.
Yeah,
but Fine Art America and everybody has my stuff. And you just look me up and you could get a print or you could get the original or you could do whatever you want.
Do you speak Creole? You speak Creole?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to say. Sapase. Nabule.
He's on Yeti Moon. It's like, yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to say. Hey, I'm gonna hit you with my last 5 questions, and if we need to revisit this, we'll do it again in a few months. Sure. What's the plan for the next decade or so? How are you gonna keep yourself going?
Oh, next decade, I would really love to have my own art show, be connected to a serious art gallery, and start getting known not just in the US but also overseas.
I saw by the way, for everyone that's listening, I saw a drawing of his infant daughter and it was amazing. The detail was just incredible.
Thank you.
So like you could see the love in the drawing. But here's my question for you. Do you also draw your pain?
Ooh,
I know it's a good question. Do you only draw your love, or do you also draw your pain?
I would say I draw both. I draw both. I don't try to focus in on the pain as much as what I did with it. But yeah, there have been times where I'm like, oh, okay, well, this canvas is gonna be black. Just it's just like, but then it's a process, and then you get out of it and stuff. Like it might, yeah.
All right, keep these answers super short because yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's one of my pain turns into something else. Painless.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like what I'm getting from it is the beginning of the universe. That's what I'm getting from it.
Thank you.
Ah.
Thank you.
Um, I know it's very personal for different people, but that's what when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing the Big Bang, which I actually don't believe in the Big Bang theory. I believe in intelligent design, and I think that things are just too precise for it to be happenstance. Things are just too precise. Like I think it lends to an engineer, whether it be God or whether it be an alien race, but I think it lends to mathematics and science.
I am. We are simpatico. It's not enough that we look like brothers, but we also think alike. Seriously, but yeah, no, I'm very
I
much
wish
yes.
people could see how much we look alike. It's actually weird when we were in uniform. You got a beard right now, but when we were in uniform, it was a little weird. People would say, "Hey, I saw you working the other day," and I'm like, "No, that was
No, you
Chappy."
didn't. I used to get the same thing. I used to get the same thing, and people would come
Uh,
up to me and be like, "Hey, you know what? The other day,
you locked me up.
you locked me up, and it wasn't fair because it wasn't that much crack." And I was like, A, it doesn't mean it doesn't matter how much crack it was, and B, it wasn't me.
All right, what's your definition of a hero?
Holy crap!
I know it's a powerful question. It could be a very
Woo.
simple answer though.
Okay. Definition of a hero. Uh,
Have you ever drawn any superheroes?
oh yeah, as a kid, I used to draw superheroes all the time. But I guess definition of a hero is someone who puts somebody else's life above their own. So, I think moms are heroes. I think teachers are massive heroes. I think anyone that's running a youth program for at-risk kids are serious heroes. Anybody that puts somebody else's life above their own and makes that other person's life better without sitting around going, "Oh, where's my end? What's in it for me?" or whatever. Yeah, gigantic hero.
When you're starting to feel stressed out and you're getting to your low point, how do you save yourself? How do you show yourself love?
I play games with my kid. I literally play games with my kid because she's
Video
13.
games or all types of games?
No, all types of games because she's 13 and she's just does not see the world in a bleak way at all.
Here's a
So
question that I don't think that anyone's ever asked you. Um, do you think that you could train me to be a better, like I was a good artist as a kid, but do you think like your skill is transferable?
yes,
But- So you could actually help me to improve my skill as like
yes,
I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be good at drawing characters and faces when I was a kid, and now obviously that skill's gone, it's gone by the wayside.
it's yeah, absolutely. The
So you could
the tech,
you could train someone.
technique is technique, and anybody could learn. It's like anyone, if you're serious, anyone can walk into like a dojo, and someone could teach them, okay, how to throw a punch, how to throw a kick, how to block, how to not be there, don't get
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, those things you're not born with it. It's not inherent, but then there are those that after they learn the technique, they bring their own style to it. Some people have a little bit of style. Some people are Jet Li, and
Yeah.
you teach them the technique and then watch them go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
So
cool. What's your greatest strength? What's your greatest ability today?
oh gosh, um, my greatest strength is, I guess, my humor. Just trying to
Yeah.
find something, anything to laugh at, something to bounce off of, something to be like, okay, I can. If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. If you don't find some way to just laugh at even yourself, especially yourself.
You have
It's
one of the best sense of humors. Like if anybody could handle the roasting, I watched the Tom Brady roast on Netflix. Did you watch it? It was really funny, by the way. Did you watch it?
yes, I was like, did he pay these people to
Oh
come
my
and talk?
God. I could not, I'm too sensitive. I could not sit through that.
I was like, a little bit is fine, but once we hit, the 1 hour mark, I'd be like
Ooh,
sneaking a tissue like this. That was offside. That you know, and some of them got up there. I was like, dude. I mean, good.
you do have a great sense of humor, and you do have a great ability to inject your own humor. That's one of the things I love about you, and I want to give you your roses while you're still here,
Thank
um,
you.
while you're with us. And it was an honor and a pleasure to work with you, and I'm so happy that you came onto the podcast. My
Oh, me
last question for you
sure.
is my last one because then I gotta run. You know what
Absolutely.
I gotta
Yeah.
do. I gotta
Yeah.
switch into the Superman suit. Uh,
Exactly.
if you had a comic book superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, comic book superpower.
DC,
I
Marvel,
Yes,
anything,
I
anything.
would I would choose invulnerability. I would choose to be uh like Luke Cage type of thing. You
Okay.
know, I don't really need to fly or anything like, but if I had to now, all in one package, if I could be like Superman, that'd be awesome. You know, but yeah,
Everybody says Superman but
yeah,
Superman's overpowered. Everyone says he's
yeah,
also overpowered.
yeah, exactly. You said just pick one, so I would pick that. I would pick, having stuff bounce off your skin and everything. So you're not concerned when you're running into the burning building, you're fine. And you can grab people and run back out. When, you're standing in front of somebody as they put the gun down, you're not concerned like, okay, I'm about to have extra holes in me, stuff like that. That's the stuff
I
I would
give the
really
same
love.
answer every time. I want all of the powers of the mind, which really wouldn't help me if someone has a gun.
You,
But
unless you're like
unless
Charles Xavier and you could convince them to put it down or freeze them,
right,
and then you can walk over and take the gun out of their hand because they're
right,
frozen.
right.
You
I
know
want all of the powers of the mind where I could just like tap someone and give them a suggestion like you don't want to shoot me. Why don't you put that gun down?
exactly.
Or the ability to lift things with my mind or set things on fire. Like I want all of those powers.
See, because then you could Jedi mind trick people all day and be like, "You don't want to do this," and it's
You
like, "No,
don't
I don't want to do
you don't want
it."
to do
Exactly.
this.
You want to go back to school? You know what? I'm gonna go back to school. This is cool. Yeah, yes, that. Yeah, that would be cool.
My brother, happy Chappy. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Um,
man.
I'm glad that you're doing well.